Quick catch up. So last week we did a show, episode 123. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Talking about flaws with the Mano Swamp and the Red Pill. The final net promoter score was abysmal. I should just delete that poll, but it came back real low in the minus segment, anywhere from minus 22 to 26. So if you didn't see that episode, go check it out. Today we're talking about the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce romance controversy, whatever it is you guys want to label it. I've had a whole bunch of people adding me on social media, like on Twitter X. When are we going to go to X? I don't know. Hey, Rich, you got to talk about this. Words around PSYOP, words around her red flags, about Travis being a simp and all of that stuff. So I've had my researcher tackle this one and come back with a lot of very interesting information. So we'll dive into it. We'll take some questions on today's show. Of course, let me grab the invite link and post that to the live chat of YouTube. Call in link. I won't be taking the call-ins until I'm done my bit that I have to cover on Taylor and Travis, but it's in the live chat of YouTube. If you guys are watching somewhere else, I will post the YouTube link in all chat. So come over from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter's, Twatches, whatever is getting streamed to right now, and watch it over on YouTube. Thank you so much. Hit the like button. Let's get started. The chat, guys, is set on the channel to members only. My YouTube contact keeps telling me to mention the channel memberships to grow the channel, so I've done that. I've set it to the absolute lowest price. It's 99 cents. If you guys want to go the next tier up, do that too. It's up to you. But apparently they're telling me it helps with reach, so do the thing. Join the membership. Thank you. So Taylor Swift. Full disclosure, I'm not her demographic. I don't listen to her stuff. I listen to good music. I'm into like old rock and roll, heavy metal, 70s rock, even EDM. I pretty much listen to every genre with the exception of classical and country. So I'm not a fan. A lot of people are fans though. She's got, let's see what her fan base was. I pulled it up on Instagram. Her 280 million followers. All right, well, since I got that up, I guess since I have all my tabs up here in Qt, I might as well go through them as I pull them up. So the first thing you notice about this tab over here is, there's a absence of Travis on it. It's all her. I know that the romance is, I think, relatively new, is what most people would say. But it's completely absent of Mr. Kelce, the important man in her life. But she has quite the pull. 280 million follows is nothing to sneeze at. That is a lot of people. And one of the criticisms I think that have been made of her, reasonably anyway, is that she's a bit of a psyop. We'll get into that in a little bit. I put out a tweet over here not even last month, 2 months ago now. We're in February already. Over on X, Twitter, and it went crazy. A lot of people got pissed off at me. A lot of people loved it. But anyway, so snapshot: Taylor Swift. She's 34, unmarried, doesn't have any kids. At that time, I saw 14 ex-boyfriends. I'll get to the real number in a bit, which ties into the red flag. We'll talk about this as we kind of deal with the exes. Got a bunch of cats, most popular songs, and these are just the ones that popped off the page when I looked at her catalog of music. Shake It Off, Look What You Made Me Do, I Knew You Were Trouble, Bad Blood, Don't Blame Me, and You Need to Calm Down. She's been criticized for singing a lot about her exes, which there are a lot of, and apparently she's not had a good relationship with all of them for the most part, with the exception of one, the guy from Twilight. I can't remember his name, but he's the only one that she's remained friendly with, not as friends. We couldn't find anything about her meeting up with exes or men from her past, so either she doesn't or she's been really good about covering that up. But the question I asked is, do you understand why I should have corrected this and said Western liberal women identify with her? She is a popular avatar in that space, very, very popular. She's an avid supporter of abortion rights, LGBT, the alphabet rights. She was notably absent from offering any opinion about politics until about 2019, 2020, I think it was, where she started talking about voting out Donald Trump and also encouraging her followers to go and register to vote. Now, the controversies around these two, they're not as salacious as you'd hope. I know people love red meat. They want the red meat. They want the flaming red tits, right? The worst that we got here is controversy with Kanye, which was insignificant. Kanye is just being Kanye, being a dick when he climbed up on the stage and interrupted her receiving the award. Let me see here. What else popped up? So she grew up in Nashville. Parents had a Christmas tree farm. Interesting. I had a job one summer for about a week working at a Christmas tree farm. One of the worst jobs you can possibly have. You have to get up. Apparently, Christmas trees have to be pruned in the summertime in the dead of heat, but also at the peak. So during the summer solstice is generally when they do it. So you're up there at 4 a.m. till about 7 because you can't do it during the day when it's super hot. And I got yelled at by some German guy that ran the farm. And I was like, dude, I'm out of here. I don't need this shit. 4 o'clock in the morning as a teenager. I think I was 16. Anyway, parents owned a Christmas tree farm. Both her parents battled cancer. She's got... Now, people are looking for, what are the red flags? I'll get to that in a second. She's got a very good relationship with both her parents. So hat tip to her and, to her family for maintaining that, because usually one of the first things that you'll see, especially women start to lean left liberalish. They make comments around supporting Democrats, hating Republicans, supporting things like termination of pregnancy, abortion rights, LGBTQ, alphabet sort of community stuff. Interesting that came from Nashville of all places, because it's a more conservative sort of town with generally more conservative women. There's no other highlights on this note here, so I'm not even going to bother putting that one up. Here's something which I found interesting. Because, guys are like, well, do you think Travis is getting into, is he biting off more than he can chew? Is she going to be a problem for him later? Like, what's going on? Because Travis Kelce, if you don't know who he is, he's a tight end for an NFL football team. Again, I'm not a fan of football either, so I can't sit there and watch other guys play games and stuff like that. But he's world-class at what he does. He's very, very good at it. We'll get into his character stuff in a little bit. One of the things he said recently was that he was looking for a breeder. He got called out on social media for saying he was looking for a breeder, meaning mother stock, essentially. And, the fembots came at him for it and started saying some nasty things. Let me just show you a screenshot of Taylor's parents, because this isn't an overt red flag that I specifically mentioned in the list of 21 in my book, but it should be noted that I think most guys commonly will look at this. It's just known. Take a look at her mom, before you take somebody on a long-term basis. Because eventually she's going to look like her, right? She's going to age into that category. Usually, most women have their kids from this era in their 20s and very early 30s. So I'm assuming in 20 to 30 years or so, Taylor Swift is going to look a little bit like mom over here. In fact, she has all the features: eyes, smile, nose, everything. Doesn't look too much like dad, but she's got all of mom's features for sure. Very, very, very strong resemblance from the eyes. But this situation over here, if my parents were still young enough and in great health like her parents are, I would be embarrassed to have my parents show up looking like that. My parents don't look like that, and they're elderly now. But take a look at a woman's mom. That's it's a good sign of what you're going to get in the future, right? There's no getting away from that. So let's get into some of the controversial stuff over here. And I've got some summary notes from my researcher, which I'll do before we start taking the questions. Okay, so let's do the Taylor Swift PSYOP one first. got to get some audio on this one. Is Taylor Swift a psyop? Share audio tab. All right. So let's just play this over here. Let's get some volume for you. It's just over a minute long, but just have a listen. And let's try the replay button.
Conspiracy theories around Taylor Swift rigging the Super Bowl are swirling. Let me explain. It seems to have started earlier in January with Fox News talking head Jesse Waters floating the idea that the pop star is a government psyop on his show.
Well, around 4 years ago, the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit floated turning Taylor Swift into an asset during a NATO meeting.
He then played a clip from this 2019 international conference on cyber conflict to back up his claim.
So I include Taylor Swift in here because she's, she's a fairly influential online person. I don't know if you've heard of her.
However,
how much you want to bet that this gal was one of her big fans?
The woman in the clip shown indeed does not work for the Pentagon, as Fox's Waters said. She was a researcher at Johns Hopkins at the time, and was giving a presentation about how influential people can combat misinformation online. Days after he made the allegation, a Pentagon spokesperson denied the claim, using Taylor Swift lyrics to respond saying, quote, "As for this conspiracy, we're going to shake it off." Swift endorsed Biden in
I mean, they wouldn't admit to it if they were doing it now, would they, right?
2020 and urged her followers to register to vote. This is also being used by many online to inform their conspiracy theories about Taylor Swift. They see her relationship with Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce and the media focus on their relationship as reason to believe she's being used as a psyop to rig the Super Bowl and influence Americans to vote for Joe Biden this November. Then this past Monday, former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy wrote on X, quote,
Now, I'm just going to pause this for a sec because I want to read what Jack Poso wrote in advance to Vivek responding to it. It might be harder to see on the screen. So he says, thinking about when Taylor Swift called out the Soros family in 2019 for buying the rights to her music. We'll get to that in a little bit. And how then she came out super liberal in 2020. Keep in mind, she was completely quiet up until about 2019, 2020 when it came to political opinions, which way she leaned, until Soros bought her entire catalog of music, which we'll get to in another clip in a little bit. But Vivek over here responds, and I'll just let the narrator read it and play it.
Quote, "I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially culturally propped up couple this fall."
Okay, so that's one of them, and that wasn't as damning as the one that I'm about to play you right now. So let me close this window. And so this is one that was snipped together on Instagram. Yeah. Okay. So let's play this one. This guy, by the way, I don't know who he is. It says The Benny Show. I've never heard of him. Benny Johnson. He sounds a lot like Tucker Carlson, or he sounds like he's trying to mimic the Tucker Carlson way of speaking. But just listen to this one. This one's a little more damning. That's T Swift, Instagram, and share and play.
That political until George Soros bought all of the rights to her music. This is real.
My entire catalog was sold to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings in a deal that I'm told was funded by the Soros family, 23 Capital, and the Carlyle Group.
Enter Operation Taylor. Travis Kelce was not a big-time celebrity. So suddenly, this dude who, I've never heard of, and you've probably never heard of, it becomes the face of Bud Light. That's a little strange choice, isn't it? This premier athlete became the face of Pfizer and the COVID-19 injection.
Travis, did you know you can get this season's COVID-19 shot?
18% of voters say they're more likely or significantly more likely to vote for a candidate endorsed by Taylor Swift. This published today from the New York Times. Predictive programming? Oh yeah. What's happening with Taylor Swift is not organic or natural. It's an op. We all feel it and we all know it.
All right. So there's that. Now, why the hell would George Soros buy her entire catalog of music, and why would she go and start to lean left after that happened overtly? There's a tweet here that she put out. I've got queued up on my screen, and this is from 2020, May 29, 2020. She says, after stoking the fires of white supremacy and racism your entire presidency, you guys decide whether or not Trump was that guy or not, you have the nerve to feign moral superiority before threatening violence. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. We will vote you out in November. And then she tagged at real Donald Trump. Again, very quiet about her opinions prior to that 2019 date when the Soros family bought her entire catalog. So here's what popped up for my researcher. I'm just going to go down these over here on my other screen. It's kind of all over the place, but quick bio. So, I mean, okay, so let's start with Travis, right? Born October 5th, 1989. They're about the same age, by the way. She's also an 89 baby, but December 13th. Apparently he's an excellent tight end. Biggest controversy that could be found on Travis really was dorky tweets about him feeding a squirrel bread. Yes, believe it or not, they made a big stink about that. Or loving IHOP. Apparently these were tweets that he tried to delete or remove from the history. And he also talked about breeder, which I mentioned earlier, looking for mother stock. So, I mean, we'll get to whether or not Taylor Swift's good mother stock in a moment when we get to the red flags. But the feminists hated the whole breeder conversation. He took the knee in 2017 during national anthems. That was just the one time that I was able to find it. It apparently happened more than that, but that's just, the one image that was captured. You guys know what was going on, in those days. It was all protest against Donald Trump and his presidency. And they cooked up all kinds of ideas about him being all kinds of phobics and isms. And, there were athletes that were taken in. You've got this dude, Travis Kelce, who's clearly white. He's not white, woke. He's woke to the sense that he took on sponsorship and marketing money from Bud Light and Pfizer for the vax sponsor deals, which you saw the commercials on earlier. If you aren't familiar and have been sleeping under a rock, Bud Light was a company that in a recent past had hired trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who's walking around calling himself a girl, but he still calls himself Dylan. Anyway, Bud Light took him on, and that was a colossal train wreck. They lost a whole shit ton of market share. Their target demographic stopped buying the beer. And I guess they tried to correct that by paying Travis Kelce a whole ton of money to be their spokesperson. And also, Pfizer did the same thing to encourage people to go get the experimental jab. His net worth is $30 million. So let's go to Taylor's, which is a lot more colorful. Let's do her net worth first. So she's worth $1.1 billion. That is a massive amount of money more than what Kelce's worth. To put that in perspective, Travis Kelce is worth only 2.7% of Taylor Swift's net worth. It's a very, very small amount. When it comes to the notion of women and men and pair bonding over a long term, it's been said many, many times that women have a strong preference to mate across and up on the socioeconomic scale. In this case, Travis would be down in the socioeconomic scale, which isn't a strong predictor of a good long-term relationship or marriage. But that being said, the chick's worth $1.1 billion. There's not a lot of available guys in that space that she's going to be interested in dating. Because, of course, she's got to manage the optics of who she's dating, because she's a performer, she's a musician. All of the guys from her past are quote unquote famous and noteworthy, and generally around her age, in some cases a little bit younger. She's dated younger as well. But it's unlikely that a chick worth $1.1 billion that's also 34 is going to take on a 50-year-old guy, right? That's not in her character or based on her past character. And again, the best predictor of somebody's future is going to be their past behavior. So that's what I'm looking at here. Born December 13th, 89, written songs professionally at age 14, 200 million records sold, highest grossing female touring act ever, most streamed woman on Spotify and Apple Music, Forbes World's 100 most powerful women. Swift is a philanthropist and an advocate for artists' rights and women's empowerment, including abortion rights. She's on terrible terms with most of her exes, with the exception of Taylor Lautner, who she dated back in 2009, who apparently she's still friends with. Didn't see anything about her and him connecting very often publicly. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Albums, I'm not going to read them. Boring as shit. There's a whole bunch of them. There's 14 here. She's been putting out albums since 2006. Started out as a country music performer. NFL draft, Travis, let's see, catching touchdown, both wins. But whatever, you can get that off of Wikipedia. President Biden's reelection team apparently was seeking Swift's endorsement in 2020. And the way that she's setting up for this election cycle, it looks like that the team's already working on that right now. The Super Bowl is more important than anything political as it stands. So any opinions she has right now are going to be sidelined with the importance of the Super Bowl. It's got to be the most watched event on TV on a yearly basis in the United States. So you can expect snippets of her to show up. I don't know if she's performing. I don't know if they've announced who's performing. But there's going to be lots of scenes of her popping up. So this is a prediction. I'm just predicting this. I'm not saying it's happened, but I think if you watch the Super Bowl, I'm not interested. You'll probably see lots of highlights, the camera swinging. Oh, there's Taylor in the stands. There's Taylor, cheering on Travis. Oh, here's Taylor again, sort of thing. So expect that. We talked about her September her Instagram post, encouraging at that time 272 million followers to register to vote. That post led to more than 35,000 new registrations on the nonpartisan nonprofit vote.org site. 6 in 10 U.S. adults called themselves at least a casual fan of the singer, with 8% saying they're raving fans. Pop culture, people identify with this stuff. They pay attention to it, and it's what moves politics now. It's attention and identity. This is a professor at Montclair State University whose research includes the intersection of politics and pop culture. I don't think there's any question as to whether or not an influential person that makes overt statements to a captive audience can sway opinion. People are sheep. We saw what happened during the scamdemic several years ago. They say jump. Vast majority of people said how high. They said stand on dots, no problem. Wear 2 masks. How about 3? Take 2 jabs. How about 4? Sort of thing. People like a ruler. They like to be led. So in the absence of leading themselves, which most people don't, they're going to turn to pop culture. And in this case, she's a very, very, very influential person. They began dating in 2023. Viewership of NFL games apparently has been significantly impacted. Unprecedented viewership and ticket sales and merchandise sales records. So apparently, that's interesting. So the Chiefs Chicago Bears game drew the most television viewers of the weekend. So she's had a strong impact on pumping up the numbers of the NFL. Interesting. Speculations owned by Soros. We talked about that. People think she's destroying the NFL. Guys hate it. Sports fans of masculine pursuits hate it when women sort of like slide in and try to derail what it's all about, like what the game might be about. Because if the game's about watching players get the pigskin, to the yard line at the end and win the game, and they're distracted by some blondie in the stands, a cat lady with 3 cats in the stands cheering on her boyfriend, then I could see why they're getting upset, right? Let's see here. Another variant of the Chiefs. Major pro-Trump broadcast personality said, the NFL is totally rigged for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you can rig things like boxing matches. Guys can take dives. I don't know that you can rig a multiplayer game, although I'm not going to put it past anything. If we're going to predict a win here, let's just put the money on Kelce's team. Anyway, KC win, goes to Super Bowl. Swift comes out as halftime show and endorses Joe Biden with Kelce at midfield. This is a prediction from Mike Crispy, whoever that is. Talked about her famous tweet from May of 2020, stoking the fires of white supremacy around the time of the murder of George Floyd and promising we will vote you out in November. Okay, we covered that part. So let's get to the red flag part, because there's not significant controversy with the exception of the stuff that we've seen here, and it's surface level stuff. So Kelce's known to have 4 long-term relationships. Maya Banbury, Kayla Nicole, Zuri, I don't know who Zuri Hall is, and of course Taylor Swift being the 4th. So not a lot of notches overtly stated to the public based on his dating history. Taylor Swift is another story. So the 2 red flags, and guys, if you're new to the channel, let me give you the ticker for the where is my ticker? Request, no. There it is. You can get it below. entrepreneursandcars.com/red-flags. If you haven't read my book, The Unplugged Alphas, it's seen over my shelf. Over here, you can get the chapter for free. The 2 red flags that she definitely ticks off, and one of them is not a good one. She's obviously, number 2, feminist. She leans left. She supports abortion rights. She's big into the alphabet community. Fine. Not the kind of gal, in my opinion, that you'd want to choose as a breeder, as Travis Kelce put it. I don't think you're not a good choice, Travis. But the worst part is when you get into her past relationships. I think on my tweet, it was counted at about 13 or 14 exes, so ex-boyfriends. Keep in mind, she's 34. The number's actually higher. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 that we know of. So we've got Joe Jonas, Lucas Till, Taylor Lautner, John Mayer, Corey Monteith, Jake Gyllenhaal, Adam Young. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, the actor. Adam Young, Cord Overstreet. Apparently a lot of her songs were written about him. Adam Young, Cord Overstreet, Eddie Redmayne, Zac Efron, Connor Kennedy, Harry Styles, Calvin Harris, Tom Hiddleston, Joe Alwyn, Maddie Healy, and currently Travis Kelce. And as you guys know, I've talked about this many times. Women, you know, when they're counting notches, generally only remember like the long-term relationships, the guys that they really liked. They forget about friends with benefits, what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, what happens in Ibiza stays in Ibiza, what happened wherever, the bachelorette party, one night stands, and all the other, low-key stuff are generally forgotten about. So it's been said, you can take it for what it's worth, you can easily double or triple that number. So for argument's sake, you can take 17, you're well into the 30s now, plus. So is that good mother stock or breeder stock, as Travis Kelce likes to call it? I'm going to go with no, Your Honor. It's not. We know that a woman that shared her body with a lot of men does not make a good wife, does not make good wife stock. The probability of divorce increases dramatically from virginity. I think they only collected the data up to about 12, and after 12, they just stopped because it was kind of pointless. Like after 12 partners, she's basically wrecked for life. The chances you have in a successful long-term marriage go down in the toilet very strongly. So as a breeder, as Travis Kelce would like to call it from his podcast and the overt statements that he made on social media, not a good pick. She's also feminist. So those two things alone would, in my estimation, make her a poor choice. Setting aside the fact that her mom is very large and she's bound to follow in those footsteps as she gets older. That's my take on it. Guys, I don't have any other red meat that my researcher could pull up on this. We talked about her empowering lyrics. She talks a lot about her exes in her lyrics, which leads me to believe, okay, so we can talk about being alpha widowed. She's not necessarily keeping men from her past around, but she's holding a place in her singing about it so much. Like every time she goes on tour and like I've seen videos of Travis Kelce Kelce in the stands watching one of her performances. Yay, go babe, it looks so good. And you see the video of him like really enjoying himself. Only she's singing songs about exes to Travis in front of tens of thousands of people in the stadium. So you take it for what it's worth, man. But to me, that looks like an alpha widow. To go to the effort to write so many songs about guys that you were with in the past, which you no longer have a good relationship with, you've got a very distant. I mean, on one hand, you don't want a chick that's got bad relationships with every single guy that she's been with. And on the other hand, you don't want her being strongly connected with every single guy that she's been with. This shit's weird. This is the kind of problems where, guys run into, oh, well, he's just a friend. And again, I'll say it one more time. Nobody fucks more wives and girlfriends than he's just a friend. So there's that. The middle ground is where you want a chick. You want indifference. You don't want a high notch count. You don't want her having terrible relationships with them all. You don't want her having strong relationships with them all. You want indifference. I don't care. I don't talk to him anymore. How do you feel about him? I don't even think about him. That's it. That's a good place to be. So I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, hating so many of the guys and then singing so many songs about all of these guys. And, keep in mind, the common denominator here, is a lot of guys who like to point out, is her making bad choices from one guy to another. If she can't choose the right man, then why is she in a position of influence to tell others to choose the right man for president? You see what I'm saying here, right? Like, she sucks at choosing men 17 times. Those are just the ones that we know about. But she's going to endorse a presidency. Like, she's going to tell her 300 million that's literally almost the entire population of the United States. I'm assuming most of her follows are in the United States, or the vast majority of them anyway. She's going to tell them which man to pick, from the lady that writes songs about men that she doesn't have a good pass with. But there you have it. So somebody said on social media to me the other day, Travis is going to get his heart broken either way, either by Taylor Swift or by his jabs. So we'll see what that looks like at the end of the day. Let me go to the chat here and see if we got any super chats to address. The link to call is pinned at the top of the YouTube channel. It says call in link. It's a StreamYard link, so you guys can call in and ask whatever questions you want. Let me see what we got here real quick. Closer to conducting herself like she's 14. I mean, she's 34. You can see why so many of the woke progressive women like her, right? She's strong. She's independent. It's interesting because when you look at a lot of the social media stuff, a lot of guys find her, I don't think they find her unattractive, but they make disparaging statements about her, calling her average or unattractive, which I think is weird because I think she's objectively an attractive woman. Looking at her mom, though, it's just like, short term, not long term, though. Let me see what we got here. I Ain't the Herb says, no NFL player should settle for a 34-year-old childless career. I mean, you want a childless woman? As a guy, if you're looking for a breeder, you don't want a woman with children, for sure. So that's a mistake. I don't agree with that. With a long public list of boyfriends, she's no breeder. I agree with that. She's got a very long public list, and that's just the list of the boyfriends. That is not inclusive of anything in between the boyfriends. She's got a long sequence. Again, she's 34. There was 17. So that's an average of more than one per year of boyfriends, not inclusive of the fillers, the stuff in between the boyfriends. No question in my mind, she's not good breeder stock. And I mean, is she really going to, abandon her career to be a stay-at-home mom and raise children? I don't think so. I mean, she might want kids, but she strikes me as the kind of boss girl, the left leaner that's probably going to take, a few weeks off, pop out the baby, then hire a nanny, and the nanny does all the work. And she goes back to singing and touring and dancing and shaking. Breeder stock, Mother stock, definitely not. Breeder stock, I mean, like I said, mom's genes look inferior from my angle. You guys tell me what you think. NFL player, football game, just see something. First down, Chiefs. Guys, again, the call-in link is at the top. The StreamYard link is there. So if you got a question, anything you want to challenge me on, hit that. Let's go. Yeah, here we go. So this is like the mid. Don't let her fame fool you. She's mid. She's objectively, in my opinion, an attractive woman. It's not going to last long based on her mom, though. But again, I mean, whatever. You know, like everybody's got their views. Marjorie Green. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's it for the super chats. My dudes, if you have a question, hit the call-in link. Let's chop it up. You got an objection or anything that you want to challenge me on, bring your better solution. Let's chop it up. Let's see what you got. Happy to talk about anything. It's open Q&A at this point. Again, the StreamYard link is only on YouTube, so head over to YouTube if you're watching elsewhere and make sure you subscribe there. Let's just run this ad reel and we'll come back and see what we got for Q&A. This episode is brought to you by the Unplugged Alpha Supplements and Grondike Soap Company. Brothers, if you're like me and you take what you put in your body seriously, you'll want to use the Unplugged Alpha Supplements. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients. And unlike cheaper supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digestible, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by various categories, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your supplement orders, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. And I use Tactical Soap and God of War beard oil every day. Tactical Soap is a handmade product made in the United States from ingredients you can actually pronounce, not conventional endocrine-lowering toiletry chemicals. Both the soap and the beard oils are infused with bioidentical pheromones that are designed by a clinical psychologist and pheromone expert to maximize attractiveness to the opposite sex. Go visit coopersoap.com and get 10% off your order today. Guys, check out my website at richcooper.ca for more information on booking me for coaching, my community, my courses, and a whole bunch more. You can also find all the useful links pinned below in the top YouTube comment of all my videos. Now let's get on with the show. So I'm just looking at the chat here as that was running, and apparently Kelce received $20 million from Pfizer to do the COVID stab commercial. Let me just do a real quick check on that. Get paid for that. It's the first thing that pops up. Pfizer promotion, Kansas City Stars stated to have made a massive $20 million. So of the $30 million net worth that he is worth, the vast majority of it, 2/3, came from sponsorship from Pfizer. Isn't that interesting? So a tiny portion has come from playing the sport that he's known for. Yeah. That's he's a tool. He's a tool. He's a tool of the Matrix. He's an accessory. There's no doubt about it. He's a talented athlete, but he's also an accessory. And from what I've seen from him with the stuff that he's done, taking the knee, endorsing Bud Light, Pfizer, he's definitely woke, which you can see why he's aligned with the Swifties. So there's that, right? What are you gonna do? All right. Let's see what we got here. Got Wahlberger. Let's see what he's got for us. What's up, man?
Hey, Rich. Doing well. How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, Travis Kelce receiving $20 million from Pfizer is a ridiculous amount of money, and he's a complete and utter sellout. And having CIA... It's
what they get paid, though, for stuff like that, isn't it?
No, because his other
What's a normal endorsement?
his 20 million is more than all his other endorsements combined.
So, okay, so let's check what the Bud Light one was. How much did Travis Kelce get? It goes right to Pfizer. Let's go to Bud Light. What do you think it was?
I'm not sure what it is, but I know that the 20 million dwarfed all other endorsements that he has.
The beverage company, 113 billion, but it recently featured Travis Kelce. No, they didn't pay him 113 billion. They're saying that's the value of it in 2023. Oh, this is when they hired him. This is when they hired him. They're sitting on some fat stacks of cash, $113 billion. And they're like, yeah, we'll throw some money at this guy. Did they disclose how much they paid him at that time? 15-second ad. Bud Light. No, they didn't say how much they paid him. It's not disclosed. I think, it's undisclosed.
Like the rest of his, you have to confirm this, but the rest of his endorsements might come to a total of 10 million. And
well, if he's worth 30, most of the money he's getting is from his handlers. Then the handlers are pulling the strings and telling him what to say.
Yeah, I mean, and that's for a particular jab commercial.
$5 million per year in off-field earnings is what he gets. That's not a lot.
No,
that's really not a lot for a world-class athlete.
No, it's not.
I had oh man. I had Mike Piazza at my event 2 weeks ago in Toronto, and he's a catcher for New York. I think he was a Hall of Famer, a two-time or something like that, he said. And his biggest contract, he was telling us, was $91 million, and that was for one contract. There was others prior to that and others after that. But baseball players get paid a heck of a lot more than $5 million a year.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I thought the Super Bowl draws more eyeballs than anything else. You're Canadian, though, so do you know what the numbers are on that?
It does. It absolutely does. It's a massive viewing effort. And what we have to remember is that it's 2024, this election year, and there's going to be so much confusion thrown out there culturally to change whatever vote goes, particularly on the Democratic side. And Taylor Swift there's no bigger influencer on that end.
Do you think that he is being used to influence votes from NFL watchers?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the business side is going to work for the NFL, certainly. But culturally, it's going to create massive impact. All of those eyes on the NFL, all of the women who are going to be watching that, and all of the liberal minds with that 2024 election coming in, how many women are going to be talking about vote for Biden over the Super Bowl when that would never have occurred if she wasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be so much that's going to be tossed into this election that they're going to try and manipulate and change. I mean, look, the federal government in the United States is actually suing Texas for not taking in immigrants because they want to increase the Democratic voting pool. So if they're going to do that, this is a sure win. Why wouldn't they do this? It makes so much sense. And $20 million to Travis Kelce, what an absolute utter sellout. This guy, his whole life is made to be an athlete. And this guy is going to take $20 million on an experimental jab, pushing it.
Well, that's the price of your health, $20 million. Like I said earlier, he's going to have his heart broken either way, either from the jab or from Taylor Swift.
Yeah, there's going to be so much. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink culturally at people to try and sway them to that Democratic side because they've got a zombie walking around as a president right now.
Yeah, well, like I said, people love rulers, right?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks for popping in.
Cheers.
Okay. Guys, the call-in link is at the top. It's pretty obvious to me that there's going to be some strings pulled here. As far as them together as a couple, he's probably good for her image. I don't know that she's great for his image as an athlete, and she's definitely not, as he, again, using his words, a breeder. A breeder's going to bring you lots of kids. A breeder's going to bring you 7 to 10 kids. That's what a a breeder would do. The strong, independent woman sort of avatar. What were all the song names again? I close the window. Shake it off. It's your fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Shut your mouth. Versions of that. You know what I'm talking about. It's a reality. It's a reality. All right, let's take the next caller here. We got Mark. Again, guys, if you want to call in, the StreamYard link is at the top of the live chat of YouTube. Probably go for another 30, 40 minutes of call in. So let's see what you guys got for me tonight. Ask me any question. Mark, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Rich? Thanks for having me on.
Good. What do you got for me today?
Yeah, so I just kind of tuned in late on this. So I guess Taylor Swift's got a new guy out of the, 17?
Sorry?
Taylor Swift has a new guy out of the 17 different dudes she sings about?
Is the 17th.
All right, so I say within the next 2 years we should hear a song about the breakup.
Oh, it's not even projected to last that long based on her past history. It seems like most of her relationships are about 4 to 5 months on average.
Oh boy, that's not.
So
that's not
2023 is when they got together. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't last past this election cycle. It would be shocking to me if they were together after the election cycle. Let's call it that.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with the previous caller actually about this being strategic, at least maybe not in Taylor Swift's mind, but feminists. I mean, they're used by politicians all the time, and it's to push the idea that, see, feminism works. Yeah. Look, you can get an athlete even if you're, 34, a boss babe and making millions. Yeah, see, feminism is great, even though she's like 1%.
Here's the, she's much higher percentile, like the
True.
As far as who she is and the kind of money she makes. There's very few female billionaires on the list of the richest people in the world, and the vast majority, when you assess female billionaires, earn their wealth either from divorce or from inheritance. Very few of them were self-made. So Taylor Swift is self-made. Earning $1.1 billion at the age of 34 is that's hard to spend. It's very, very hard to spend that in a lifetime. That's a lot of money. But I mean, the thing being is she's probably going to start reminding people of the victims that they are, because that's the string that they tend to pull on to get you to do what they want you to do. I don't know if it'll be around certain women's rights or oppression, or it'll probably be the standard deck of cards. Like, it's the standard play.
Well, yeah, it's been working for the past 65 years. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, you're oppressed. You're a person of color. You're a person of marginalized opinions, sexual preferences, transition, whatever it happens to be. I think that'll probably be what she'll be. That's what her handlers will probably tell her to go with. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the storyline.
Oh, yeah, because she is. I mean, she's been for the past, 10, 15 years now, I think, the poster child for strong, independent woman that don't need no man. Because look at how men hurt her. Look at all the, and of course, the simps love her.
Remember, every woman in the audience. Like, if you watch these videos when she's performing and the camera zooms in onto the women in the audience, and they do this all the time. Like, they'll always find like a marginalized sort of character, like some chick that's crippled in a wheelchair, and she's singing and she's like banging on the lyrics, and it's like, "You hurt me, you're an asshole, and I hate you, and women are oppressed." Those obviously aren't the lyrics, but it's like, this is what she's getting an entire stadium, to essentially buy into. Look, there's way better stories to tell out there than I made a bunch of shitty choices with men, but this is the icon that she is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, she can't. I mean, this is her brand. This is what she is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, with this, relationship or whatever you even want to call it, I mean, I agree with you guys. I agree with you, Rich. It's probably not even in the last 6 months. I mean, we've seen this over and over again, but it doesn't matter because they're pushing the message. The message is all that matters, is that it gets out there. Taylor Swift is already on board. She's a full feminist. Hey, they're going to use her.
So does she?
Right? They never seem to
typical unattractive
look
feminist.
like it. Yeah, they never seem to look like what the real feminists look like. No, they always use an example of a pretty blonde, skinny looking woman as like, see, I'm a feminist, see, I'm oppressed. It's like, you make $1.5 billion in 2023. Yeah, you're oppressed, very oppressed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. The cognitive dissonance has already been established for 65 years. Women are eating this music up, hook, line, and sinker. So, I mean, they're just going to keep it going because it's really a counter. I would say it is a counter to the red pill, to biblical Christianity. It is their response because they don't want men and women together. They don't want relationships to last. They don't want children to be born and raised by their parents, raised to grow and be benefits to society. You know, men being a benefit to society in the workforce and in industry. They don't want that because that's bad for their bottom line. So, I mean, they'll use Taylor Swift as long as they need to until she's, you know, old and not usable.
Bottom line is control and influence. When is the Super Bowl? It's this weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch the Super Bowl. I watch football. It's a waste of time. But I believe it is this week.
Yeah. And I was asking prediction.
I think it's the 49ers versus what, the Chiefs?
Kansas City, yeah. What do I know?
Probably the 49ers. Since they have been there before. I think the Chiefs were too.
People seem to think that it's going to be a rigged game for, you know, based on this couple being so predominant in that space right now. So I guess we'll see.
A rigged game? I don't know about that.
Well, like I said earlier, I think you can rig a boxing match. I don't know. You can rig a game with multiple players.
Yeah, not with multiple players. Boxing's a little easier. It's cheaper
one
too.
Person, yeah.
Yeah,
drop.
It's much cheaper. You know, they're like politicians. You know, it only costs about $10,000 to pay a politician.
Yeah,
so
it is.
You know, pretty cheap.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All right, ciao. All right, if there's anybody else that wants to pop in, ask a question, share some experience or some feedback, the StreamYard link is pinned at the top of the live chat. Hit it and let's chop it up. Let me go to the chat over here real quick and see if we've missed anything. Right in the wave. Yeah. Anyway, I'll throw my my prediction out. I think it's going to be a Kelce win. I don't even care about the team at this point. I think it's going to be a Kelce win with a lot of coverage of Swiftie up in the stands, participating, partying, dancing, and drawing in eyeballs because that's what she does. It'll be interesting to see on social media on her Instagram because again, this is a very important component. Like this is a key component when it comes to social media. Is watch how women use it. Okay, if it's all her, like leading up to it and after that, there's no picture of them together. Then you should be asking some questions, right? Apple of her eye, is he really? I guess we'll find out. But yeah, there's not a ton of red meat on the two, aside from his wokeness and inability to, again, great athlete, shit at making decisions with a woman as a breeder. And her biggest red flag again was her promiscuity, and still continues to be. It's not a good look. It's not a good choice, and it's definitely not what a man or a father should choose as a quote unquote breeder. Anyway, I'll wrap it up on that note. Thanks for chiming in today, guys, and watching the podcast. I'll throw the outro, and we'll see you soon. Moff's on tomorrow, and again, Ladies Night is on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you guys are enjoying that series as well. Make sure you do the stuff for the algorithms. Comment below, all the good stuff. Peace out. All right, guys. If you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit get a free quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for